Good evening, it's Eva. I decided to try to post something about kind of what's going on with me privately, because I tried to do this video yesterday and then I don't know, my perfectionism got to me and I didn't like it. So I'm gonna try again to go over this. Hopefully this is a message that will help other people. Okay. I don't like talking about it at all. I don't like talking about my personal life really at all. But I feel like maybe this could help somebody. And frankly, I looked over a lot of my older videos and there seems to be a running theme of sort of a lack of vulnerability in, I suppose, a career sense. I like to be over prepared. I like to have a outline or a vision of what I'm doing. I like to have a strategy. I've always been someone who had goals or dreams and tried to execute them, and tried to have tunnel vision and really narrow in on the steps I needed to get to where I wanted to go, and then do what I needed to do and block out everything else and just focus on just that. This is what I've been trying to do lately with this whole channel thing. But I think I'm going to go back to doing the Bible stories, because I feel like I kind of had more continuity, and I kind of feel like I've sort of drifted off into some sort of philosophical land of no, at the heart of it is this particular issue, which I don't like talking about. But I feel like part of being a content creator is supposed to be being a real person, being transparent and not putting on the airs of who you want to be, who society wants you to be, who you would like to be seen by other people as. And I think that's been why I've been floundering so much with this particular endeavor. Sorry about the motorcycle. It's Friday night. Okay, so today's, I don't know, it's like early June, right? Well, June 20th of this year, it'll be 8 years since the assault and robbery and me getting the brain injury that changed my life and messed up my reading, writing ability, and sort of it just decimated my identity, because my whole identity has been, ever since I was a little kid, has been reading and writing and communicating those ideals to the outside world, in a way where I could make a living and make a difference. And the other part of my whole sort of, if you will, purpose in life was to, I always just wanted to leave the world better than I found it, and to transmute all the horrible, negative, soul crushing crap that had happened to me, especially in my early childhood and teenage years, and my early 20s. I had the 4-year drug addiction to cocaine and heroin, so another massive learning experience. I wanted to take all those things and sort of refurbish them and put them into order in a cohesive manner, and then use what I went through as, some kind of blueprint to help others feel better who were in similar positions, and to relieve that suffering on some level, and to share whatever I've learned along the way to process that, everything that came against me in my life. And I've always been super into the fairy tale Rapunzel, and the idea of spinning, straw into gold, or taking something that just doesn't seem like it's worth anything, and then with kind of your life force, or your particular calling in life, to transform it into something useful and viable and replenishing, to sort of channel goodwill out of misery. And I kind of always, I always felt like it was my way to give back, because God is throughout my entire life, since I was a little kid, I didn't really have anybody to talk to besides God. Not because there weren't adults around or people around, but I simply filtered out a lot of things for people. I mean, people thought they knew the whole story, or parts of it, but really they only knew parts. They only knew what I let them know, and they didn't know the whole story at all. So only God knew that. I was too ashamed to just felt burdened by the things I'd been part of, or seen, or witnessed, or been involved in, to the point of shame and anxiety, and I just felt it was gruesome and ugly, and I honestly just didn't feel like anybody could really handle it or know what to do with it. I didn't have very much faith in anybody being this is what would help, or this is the map out of hell. It seemed like that would work for parts of it, for some of it, but for the whole thing, I just thought, it's too much. It's too much. It's just not. It's just a really pick and choose parts of it, but I didn't want to scare people away by telling the whole thing. And I'm not in any way saying that my story is special or anything. I mean, tons of people have traumatic or difficult childhood, adolescence, adult lives. People sometimes age out and die into never finding peace of mind or any relief from the internal suffering that they have. Even people who are highly spiritual or seek a higher power and devote themselves to a path outside of this life can still be trapped in a maze of regret and just they're in a liminal space. They're in limbo. They're like in the waiting room between earth and heaven, and they're stuck there and they can't figure out who they are, because what's happened to them is so annihilating that it's like, who are you? Who are you after these things happen? Like, I, of course, spent many years trying to chase after, status, having a family, having married, like having certain degrees, like having certain money to do certain things that seemed desirable in the way of the world. But this disability is just like annihilated all that. Like, it flattened it all out. Like, that's kind of the place I find myself in now. It's like, it'll be 8 years, and I have not, in all this time, though, I've made tremendous strides, and I'm certainly not who I was when I first was brain damaged, which I was a shell of a person. I was a shadow of what I had been. I was so leveled by it that, because I had been raped that same year, earlier in the year, and I told nobody, and it was a really violent rape, and I almost got killed. I tried to scream for help, and he shoved me into the sofa cushion, and I was suffocating. So I almost didn't make it. So it's like I hadn't processed that. Then, like, the being humiliated by being set up in an online date / robbery. I mean, like, I've read about, like, Madoff, people who had funds with Madoff, and, like, a lot of those people killed themselves because they were so humiliated. Like, not from losing, not even like from, it wasn't even the losing the money or losing their whole livelihood or all their things that they were going to leave for their children. It was the fact that they felt duped, that they felt exposed, that they felt, it was all over the news. They felt so stupid, so humiliated. Like it's really hard to come back from that kind of public sort of mockery. Like, it's almost like you're tarred and feathered, and it's just, I had that happening, and then the actual losing my professional career, losing my ability to make a living in the world like a normal person, because I could not read and write the English language. So that was a problem. And I don't care how like good looking, charming, whatever kind of resume you have, like when it comes down to it, you have to perform a task and you are unable to do it, like physically unable. Like there's nothing, willpower, practice, hours and hours and hours every day of training, and you still are incapable of overcoming it and being even remotely who you used to be. Like not even like a fraction, really. Well, a fraction, but that's it. Like a third of who you were. And it just happens to be the one thing that is your greatest pleasure in life, leisure, which was like reading and being a writer, and then like just happens to be like how you make a living, and like your entire dossier, your entire work history is an educational history, all revolves around reading and writing in a fundamental sense, like not just like part of it, like the whole thing rests on that, the entirety of it. Thank God I can still speak and do public speaking. I have realized that, you know, my reluctance to really get fully into, you know, content creation, and the sun is setting because this is an Eva video, and it was really hot today, but I also like seem to be incapable of starting these videos like in like before dusk sets in. Anyway, I don't want this to sound pitying. I just want to just say that I have tons of content that I don't post because I am ashamed. I'm just ashamed of it. It's not good enough. It's not sometimes I just feel like a second grader when I look at my notes, or when I look at how I put together things now. And I just have this overwhelming obsession with comparing everything I do now to what I used to do. And the valley between those things is so vast, it's so big. And it makes me want to hide and not get on camera. It makes me not want to try to come up with a plan for what I'm gonna say, because it's like so hard to get. It takes so much work and effort just to do simple things, like things that I never in 800 million years would have ever thought about. Never thought about making a grocery list. Sometimes I can't do it. Like sometimes I can't do it. Just the most basic, simplest things. The blurry vision, the lines of like text, you know, like of a sentence on top of a sentence in a book or a paragraph, and it's like they merge and then just make gibberish. It's just a bunch of letters running together, and then when I try to look at some of the way it's like I form it in my mind, and my intellect is perfect, but then my speech is pretty good, but it's like I'll look at the plan, you know, the source of what I'm trying to speak from, and it's like gibberish. It's like alphabet soup. It's like garbage. And I just get transparency. I just get to a point where it's like I want to give up. I want to just not try. I want to not. I don't want to face reality. I don't want to didn't want to be like this for the rest of my life. And this is after, I can't tell you how much work I do every day just to be cognizant on some level. Like, can't even get into it. The amount of work disabled people do behind the scenes to just be a fraction of what they were, it's startling. That's why it makes me laugh when people are like, oh, well, don't you want to try to work again outside of the home? And it's like, for what? So for fucking what? I mean, yeah, I would like that. But I don't want to be standing in front of a copy machine and, you know, it jams, and then I take out the people's, you know, paperwork, and it's all out of order because it got jammed, and I literally can't put it back together. I can't copy what they want because I literally can't read the numbers and put it back in order. Like the papers are mixed up now, and I am physically incapable of doing the simple task of putting things in an order of like page 1, 2, 3, page 5 to 7, you know, like, and then the person is just standing over me, like, you know, and they have somewhere to go, and they're busy, and they're waiting for this basic, simple service to be performed. And it's like, that shit's not gonna happen. Like, it's fucking not gonna happen. It's not. And that's why I really want to be an advocate for the disabled, because, you know, before I was disabled, I had no idea. When people like me have invisible injuries, like a brain injury, nobody can see it. And it happens to a lot of domestic battery victims and soldiers, you know, in war. And like, you can't look at me and know that I'm so compromised, you know, like, that only comes when I try to perform actions. That's the very thing I want to hide from, is I don't want to perform the actions because I don't. And I want to see the results because I know what they're going to be. I know what I'm capable of. And I know what I do now. And there's a vast gulf in between. And that's something that's very hard to put on display, because much like child abuse and neglect, most people aren't going to understand it. It's not going to make any sense. Alright, it's too dark. I'm going to stop.